Mr. Moderator, Honorable Excellencies, fellow speakers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's a special privilege to represent nearly 300,000 rural women, men, and youth in Uganda. I, together with the organization I work for, the Hunger Project, strongly endorse the call for a bold and transformative agenda I apologize for that. That's what I was talking about. Because we believe business cannot be as usual. To this end, I think Mr. Wright was so accurately stated, all politics and in fact all development is local. Localizing the agenda will be critical. Achieving the Sustainable Development Goals should, in many cases, be a bottom-up process. This agenda, and rightfully so, is an enormous and ambitious undertaking requiring mass mobilization and sensitization of people through the social behavior change to ensure that all people understand and appreciate the role of the Sustainable Development Goals and take their own responsibilities required, not only in achieving the goals, but owning them. This agenda must seek to empower everyone without distinction and at all levels, through the most inclusive policy-making process in history. And as Ms. Thatcher alluded, awakening everyone to a social mindset shift about what can be done to create a world we want and guide citizens to take effective action of their own. The very people who are the most impoverished, disempowered, and hungry are the answer, as they must be the authors of their own development. We deeply value and are encouraged by the result implied by the phrase, "Leave no one behind." The commitment must begin with a massive and urgent campaign to inform, educate, and inspire everyone on the planet to join in this extraordinary human endeavor. Governments, civil society, and especially the media have important responsibilities to raise awareness and jumpstart this process as quickly and comprehensively as possible. Planning for long-term sustainable community development requires, as the panel stated, that all relevant stakeholders not only be at the table, but forge partnerships and effective engagement with and between citizens and local governance systems. I truly believe that the MDGs remain phenomenal for generating unprecedented global consensus and initiatives for poverty reduction. In particular, MDG 8 played a central role in increasing market access, providing debt relief, improving access to ICT, essential medicines, and all other forms of support. However, since the adoption of the MDGs, there has been significant challenges, including population growth, urbanization, climate change, as well as remaining gender inequalities and the youth bulge. All have impacted the overall implementation and thus the achievements of all the MDGs. In addition, there are notable gaps and politically systemic shortcomings of states' policies and capacities which need to be addressed. We agree that the successful implementation of the post-2015 development agenda will in particular depend on how member states, as well as other development actors, catalyze an enabling environment for good governance, capacity building in public administration, such as minimal or absent fiscal and political devolution, and the huge hindrances of rampant corruption, especially in the developing countries. Consider the 16-year-old girl with a baby on her back, working with an archaic tool in a field that most likely she does not own. This girl will not finish school or see a world beyond 6 miles of where she was born. She will spend hours a day fetching water and preparing meals, barely leaving time enough for eating and her own rest. She lives without access to local government services, without access to her human rights, arguably without her due dignity. To sustainably and efficiently bring the now 795 million severely hungry, malnourished, and most disempowered people living similarly to her, we encourage the implementation of 3 key pillars at the grassroots level. 1 is to start with women. 2nd is to mobilize everyone. And thirdly, to strengthen local democracy through the establishment of community-led social accountability mechanisms. We urge support of Mr. Santabane's statements about catalyzing participatory local democracy as priority in implementation. This will call for active citizenry, political, administrative, and fiscal decentralization, and multi-stakeholder planning to promote daily management of integrating sectors at the grassroots to increase effectiveness in financial utilization and build accountable and transparent local governments. It is also worth noting that for meaningful and sweeping awareness, given the globalized technology and communications of the world we live in today, we need to enlist the support of the media in terms of community mobilization and sensitization, and the academia for capacity building for future professionals, additional research about effectiveness of current strategies, prospects for development based on best practices around the global economy. Mr. Moderator, the outcomes of the 3rd International Conference on Financing for Development should reflect on lessons learned from successes and shortcomings of the MDGs implementation, provide a platform for sharing experiences from different actors on day-to-day challenges of implementation and ways forward, and seek alternative strategies for funding streams. UN member states and development partners, in partnership with the citizens, must address the following, or else we risk falling short of the post-2015 global agenda's targets. Number 1 is capacity building through human resource development, especially for the less developed world. The 2nd is the empowerment of women. The next is the inclusion of the youth voice and engagement as inalienable principles and youth leadership opportunities to empower youth, especially those that are marginalized and or in post-conflict and fragile states. The other aspect is political rights awareness, especially to empower women and girls who are victims or at risk of gender-based violence, early child or forced marriages. The next item should be multi-sectoral funding streams and multi-sectoral programs to increase partnership opportunities, drive innovation, increase capacity, and most importantly, develop the whole of a person, not just one sector of their life. We also believe in integrated development strategies with less resource and service provisions to mitigate dependency and catalyze self-reliance. Local ownership of implementation and monitoring to increase capacity and also ensure inclusivity. The next important aspect should be good governance, democracy, and observance of human rights, which are the bedrock of the much cherished accountability by duty bearers to rights holders. And we also believe in fostering respect, trust, and effective collaboration between citizens and their local governance systems via establishment of social accountability mechanisms. And lastly, we also believe in fostering participatory local democracy and strengthening transparency and good governance at the grassroots. I thank you so much.